shelter in the glow. With your Pip-Boy on your wrist, my love, you're the voice I long to
Welcome back to the
know.
Dusty Signal, my little devils. Today's tape got me thinking about the past. My past. Halloween. I've been sitting with that word all day. I saw it written on a calendar once, in one of those houses that still had things in it. You know the kind. Frozen in time, with the table still set and pictures still on the wall. Like the family just stepped out for a minute and just never came back. The calendar was hanging in the kitchen. Some skeleton decorations hung on the wall next to it. That struck me. Why would anyone have smiling skeletons on their walls? I looked at the calendar, and October 31st was circled in orange marker. A little hand-drawn pumpkin smiley face was next to it. The word Halloween written underneath in a child's handwriting. I tore the page out of that calendar. I kept it. Kept it for a long time. I tried to figure out what it meant. Halloween. Why was that so important to this family? I was just looking for some food, maybe a place to sleep for the night. But I was pretty young and could recognize a child's writing. Honestly, that's what caught my attention. Some child took the time to write out the word Halloween and draw that smiling pumpkin. It was important to them. And here I was, dirty, injured, hungry, tired, blood on my hands. A child. It took me years to piece it all together. I learned to read books, and I would always listen to the stories, the legends of pre-war life. Most of those stories were just that, stories, legends, myths. Halloween had to be no different. A holiday, a whole holiday, built around pretending to be something you're not and getting candy. Children, dressing up like monsters or heroes or vault tech salesmen, apparently. They would go out, children, at night, in the dark, alone, and walk up to strangers' houses, knock on the door, and get candy? In our world, that sentence ends one way, and it sure as hell has nothing to do with candy. But that's what they did. They knocked on strangers' doors, and those strangers, those complete strangers, would open the door, smile, and give them something sweet. And the children would say thank you and run back down the path to where their parents were waiting at the end of the driveway. Waiting. Their parents were just waiting at the end of the driveway, not scanning the roof lines, not hidden behind a retaining wall, not with a weapon at their hip and one eye on the tree line. Just standing there, watching their children run up to lit porches in the dark. I've tried to picture that. I've genuinely tried. Children on patrol, gathering rations from strangers. That's the only version my brain can make sense of. That's the only frame I have for it. But that's not what this was. This was just safe. The world was just safe enough for that. I don't know why that particular thought is the one that gets me. I've read about the old world. I know what it was. Clean water from a tap. Doctors in buildings with clean floors. Music on the radio that nobody was playing from a fortified position. I know all of that. But something about children, in the dark, safe. Something about a parent just standing at the end of a driveway without a weapon in their hand. Well, that's enough of that particular rabbit hole. Sugar, some doors you crack open just enough to remember why you keep them closed in the first place. The reason Halloween is on my mind today The reason I've been sitting with that word is because our boy Nate recorded this one on October 31st. For the slower ones in the back row, honey, that's Halloween. Now, I'm going to be straight with you before I press play. This tape asks something of you. It's going to reach into your chest and take a hold of something in there, and it is not going to let go easy. And honey, if it doesn't stir anything in ya, then, well, that makes old Dusty as sad as a sober raider. Some tapes you listen to, some tapes you experience. Tape 9 starts now.
Log 009, October 31st, 2287. Halloween. It would have been anyway. Nora had costumes for all of us. Shaun was going to be a vault tech salesman. Full trench coat, little hat, a baby salesman. Can you even imagine? Nora and I, we were supposed to wear vault suits. No joke. Irony is a cruel mistress. It's been 5 days since I last recorded. Several of those days were spent in bed. Codsworth waited on me, brought things, tidied up, did his best. Stimpaks can heal the body, but they don't touch the mind. He kept asking when Nora would be taking over and whether Shaun needed anything. After day 2, I told him to go home and wait for her there. So he's back at Sanctuary Hills now. Dogmeat stayed. Didn't ask permission, just stayed. Curled up by the bed and didn't move. I couldn't will myself out of that bed. I'm not sure that I really wanted to. The bombs, Nora, Shaun. Vault Tech using us as lab rats. The Deathclaw. 210 years just gone. Slipped past while I was on ice, and for me it's been what? 8 days? 10? My head needed time to get right with all of it. And there was something else. Something I'd been putting off. Something I knew had to be done and was too afraid to face. I went back to the vault. For the last time. There's a weapon locked in the overseer's office. I noted it on day 1. Told myself I'd go back for it. Dogmeat came with me. Didn't make it a choice. Just fell into step beside me like he already knew I shouldn't make that walk alone. He's a good dog. God, I wish I'd looked harder for River. She ran off after we brought Codsworth home, sometime between unboxing him and everything else that week. I should have kept looking, should have found her. I don't know what happened to her. The walk to the vault is about 20 minutes from the base. I made it in 15, muscle memory, or just not wanting to slow down enough to think. The platform was still raised. I hit the button and went down. Nobody had been inside, no tracks, no signs of entry. Same dead hillside, same dead air rising up out of that hole. I stood at the entrance for a minute. Don't read into it. I went in. As the platform descended, my eyes were assaulted by the emergency fluorescents that were still running. That pale, flat light that doesn't cast real shadows makes everything look sickly and unnatural. I moved fast, didn't want to be there, didn't look at the cryo chamber. I just went straight to the overseer's office, right to the locked case. I had tools this time and cracked it in under 4 minutes. Dogmeat just watched me. Judged me is probably a more accurate assessment. He sat with an expression that said he knew he would have done it faster. Crazy dog. The weapon, the cryolator, is a handheld cryo projection system. Barrel's almost rifle length, which hopefully means range. According to the terminal, the overseer and what was left of his science staff built it over months, just to have something to do, something to build, something to feel useful. Maybe that asshat should have spent more time actually being useful to the people in his care, but I suppose it worked out for me in the end. It's in remarkable condition, maintained obsessively, you can tell. But I still field stripped it on the desk just to make sure. Checked the canister seal and trigger group, loaded it, test fired it. Not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome. Dogmeat and I walked the same path out, past the cafeteria, past the recreation terminal, past the cryo chamber entrance. I stopped. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough for Dogmeat to press himself against my leg. Yeah, I told him. I know, buddy. I walked in. I hadn't planned to, I just had to. She looked the same. Exactly the same as she did when I watched that piece of shit pull the trigger. She tried to stop him. She tried. I was supposed to protect her and Shaun. That was my one job, the only one that ever mattered. And I was frozen in a tube 6 feet away while my wife was murdered in front of me. I just stood there. I didn't say anything. I'm not sure what I would have said anyway. What do you say? I'm sorry doesn't begin to cover it. I love you isn't enough. I'm going to find him. That just sounds like something a desperate man says out of emotion. No weight behind it. Not yet. I took her hand. It was cold. I held it anyway. I'm taking you home, Nora. That's all I said. Then I picked her up and carried her out. Dog Meat walked beside us the whole way. She wasn't heavy. She never was. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. I closed the vault door behind us. I'm never going back. I buried her that afternoon. There's a tree in the cul-de-sac behind our old house, a big dead hardwood. Looks like it hasn't had leaves in 200 years, but Nora loved that tree. When we first moved in, she used to sit under it in the evenings when the weather was good. Said it felt old, solid, like it had been there longer than any of the houses and would outlast all of them. She called it her tree of sanctuary. That just seemed to fit, so I buried her under it. It was the right thing to do. I dug the grave myself. It took most of the day. The soil out here is hard. Radiation and time does that. My ribs screamed from the first shovel to the last. I didn't stop, though. I deserved that pain, to feel it, every second of it. I failed her. I lied to her. She deserved so much more than what I gave her, more than what I was. I wrapped her in the cleanest thing I could find. One of the empty houses had a suitcase with a blanket in it. I wrapped her in that blanket. I know that's not what she deserved, but she used to say the best you have is enough if you give it completely. I gave it completely. Dog Meat sat at the edge of the grave the entire time I worked. He didn't wander, didn't sleep, just sat there, watching. When it was done, I marked the grave. I'd found a piece of rebar and an old concrete block and scratched her name into the concrete with the tip of my combat knife. Nora Campbell. That's all, just her name. But she deserves more than just a marker. She deserves a legacy. And that's exactly what these recordings are going to give her. I knelt there for a while, a long while. Then I took off my wedding ring. I'd been thinking about it for days, whether to keep wearing it, whether to bury it with her, whether any of it mattered at all. It matters. I'm not taking it off because I'm done loving her. I'm taking it off because a killer and a grieving husband can't coexist. The man who wears that ring went to fundraising events. He read speeches and pretended he was just a guy from the VFW. That man couldn't protect his family. The man who finds Shaun doesn't get to wear a wedding ring. Not yet. Not until the job is done. I put it with hers and secured them with my dog tags. I made sure I taped them so they wouldn't make any sound. I'll wear it again when I bring him home. When I avenge her murder. That is a promise. The last words I spoke to her before I covered her with dirt. I'm sorry I lied to you. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. I made a circle of flat stones around her and the tree. I needed to make sure nothing gets built over her. I want anyone who ever works this settlement to know, this ground is protected. It's sacred. Preston saw me doing it. He didn't ask. Good man. I'm going to compress the rest of the week into this entry. I just don't have the bandwidth to break it down day by day. Not for this one. My ribs are healing. The power armor absorbed most of the Deathclaw's punishment, but my left side still lights up when I breathe wrong, which seems to be with every breath. I've been taping it tight and taking it easy. Eli Turner would be proud. He was our team's combat medic, though that title doesn't really do him justice. With the level of training that man had, he was basically a walking hospital. Preston and his group have been working on Sanctuary Hills. I've helped when my ribs would allow it. Preston's not a builder. and I say that with respect because he knows it too. But he is relentless. Just keeps moving, keeps organizing, keeps asking me questions about defensive positions and sight lines. He genuinely cares about this world and wants to make it better. Nora would have liked him. He's growing on me, like a fungus. Sturgis, though, he's the real deal. That man can fix anything. He's already got a generator running and has plans drawn up for a water purifier. A water purifier. In this world, clean water isn't just comfort. It's survival infrastructure. It's the difference between a settlement and a liability. And it's exactly what this settlement needs to grow. Mama Murphy asked me to build her a chair. I got the impression she just needed to talk. She stood watching me work, talking the whole time. I asked about the chem use, about the site. She said she couldn't remember starting on them, said she'd had the site since she was a child, but she could only access it when she was high. I kept working, filed it somewhere I'll deal with later. She kept telling stories. The stories got more grandiose as the day went long. Said she'd ripped the head off a raider with her bare hands. I just nodded. Said she'd killed a deathclaw with a single bullet. I put down the hammer, looked at her for a long minute, then picked the hammer back up. The thing is, she believes every word of it. What's also clear is that the chems have been working on her mind for a very long time. Whatever grip on reality she has left is held together with stubbornness and good intentions. I talked to her about getting clean, not a lecture, just a conversation. She agreed. Her choice, not mine. Said the site would go away without the chems. I told her that was okay. I meant it. I can't be the reason an old woman keeps poisoning herself, even if her visions have been right. Even if they help me find Shaun. That's not a trade I'm willing to make. Besides, she already told me what I needed to know. Diamond City. Shaun is alive. I don't need another vision. I just need to move. I built her a great chair. She's going to need to be comfortable for what's coming at her next. Diamond City is southeast. I'm leaving in the morning. For the first time since I came out of that vault, I feel like I can rest. Not because things are good. They're not. Not because the grief is gone. It isn't. But because I know what the next step is, and I know I'm ready to take it. Inventory rundown before I head out. Cryolator. Secondary long arm. No idea what it will do in a live firefight. 10mm pistol. Primary sidearm. Plenty of ammo. Plenty of experience behind those sights. Pipe rifle. Primary long-range weapon for now. Modified with a salvage scope. Decent range. Single magazine. I'll have to be strategic with it. Shotgun. Short barrel, close quarters. 2 shells. I'll find more on the road or use it as a club. A sawed-off shotgun makes a surprisingly effective melee weapon. Last remaining fusion core. Too valuable to leave behind even with the power armor down and still under repair. Medical. 4 stimpaks, 2 Rad-X, 1 Radaway. Tight, but workable if I'm careful. Food and water. 3 days. I can scavenge if I need to. Dog meat. I told him to stay. I swear he threw what I can only describe as a full-on tantrum. But I'm making this trip alone. There are things I'll have to do to get the answers I need. Things I don't want him to see. He'll be here when I get back. Then there's Codsworth. I didn't ask him. He's better suited here now that he has people to serve. Before I leave in the morning, I'm stopping by her grave. Not to say goodbye, just to let her know where I'm going, what I'm doing. She always liked knowing where I was headed, even when I couldn't tell her the truth about it. All those times I had to look her in the eyes and lie. This time I can be honest. This is Staff Sergeant Nathaniel Campbell. Out.
Yeah. I'm just gonna sit here for a second, if that's all right with you. Sometimes life just requires you to do that, sugar. Sometimes you just need a minute before the world starts back up again. All right. Let's talk about what just happened. A lot of people would have you believe that grief is something you move through, like a tunnel. You go in one end, and eventually, if you're lucky, if you're strong enough, if you do the right things in the right order, you come out the other side. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how grief works. I think grief is something you have to carry. And the question isn't whether you carry it. The question is whether you let it carry you. Nate Campbell dug a grave today with broken ribs, through hard soil, with every reason in the world to just stop, to put down the shovel and sit in the dirt and not get back up. Hell, most people would have left Nora at the cryopod, left her in the vault. Nate had that choice. He also had the choice to just stop. But that's not Nate. He didn't stop. And here's what I want you to understand about what happened at that tree. Because I think it's easy to hear the burial and miss what was really being buried. Because it wasn't just his wife. He took off his wedding ring. Now, before you misunderstand that, hear me out, sugar. He didn't take it off because he stopped loving her. He didn't take it off because he's done. He took it off because he looked at himself clearly, maybe for the first time since he walked out of that vault, and he made a distinction, a decision. The man who wore that ring went to fundraising events, read speeches, pretended he was just a guy from the VFW. That man couldn't protect his family. He said those words himself. And that man is buried under that tree, buried right next to his wife. What walked away from that grave is something different. Someone different. Someone that knows exactly who they are and exactly what he has to do. He didn't lose himself at that tree, honey. He found himself. Most people carry their failures like extra weight until it bends them, until it breaks them. Nate gave his a home, marked it with stones, and walked away lighter for it. Not because the grief is gone. No, not that at all. It's just that he gave it a place to live, a place that wasn't inside his chest. It's important that you catch that, sugar. He also said something on that tape that I haven't been able to shake since the first time I heard it. She deserves a legacy. And that's exactly what these recordings are going to give her. I've been sitting with those words for a good while now. Sitting with the importance of those words, the weight of them. He started these recordings as mission reports, private notes, his ears only. Just a soldier keeping track of an operation in a world he didn't recognize anymore. That's what they were on day one. Just a way for him to stay sane. But somewhere between a werewolf story, standing at Shaun's crib, and carrying Nora out of that vault, they became something else. They became for her. Now, I found a busted old Pip-Boy in the wasteland. His busted old Pip-Boy. I've been broadcasting these tapes, his tapes, because I believed his story deserved to be heard. But maybe that's not the whole truth of it. He made these recordings for Nora. He hoped someone would find them, that someone would know their story. And I'm giving that to the world. Together, a grieving soldier and a woman who loves to talk are building exactly what he promised at that grave. A legacy. He made I need to talk about Mama Murphy for a moment. Because I've heard that story before. When I was running with the Brotherhood, back when I was young enough to think structure meant safety, they had files on people. Individuals of interest. People who seemed to have powers. Skills that others didn't. There was a file on a woman, a warrior, fierce, ruthless by all accounts, who had a gift that nobody could make sense of. a sight that went beyond what chem should be able to produce. The Brotherhood wanted to know if someone had found pre-war enhancement technology, if there was something mechanical behind it that they could acquire and use. The report noted, and I remember this specifically, because it struck me as the kind of detail that belongs in a wasteland legend and nowhere else, that she had allegedly killed a Deathclaw with a single bullet. I never found her. We never found her. It was a fun story, one of many the Brotherhood has stored away. The wasteland's full of stories like that. People become legends out here because legends are easier to believe in than people are. And here's Nate Campbell, building a chair for an old woman who told him exactly that story. Well, I'm left to wonder, is she that woman? Is she that legend, or is she just some crazy old junkie that heard those same stories and just made them her story? Now, I want to talk about something before I let you go tonight. Here's a man who buried his wife, carried her out of that vault, dug her grave in hard soil, all with broken ribs, who wrapped her in a stranger's blanket because it was the best he had to give. A man who sat with an old woman and listened to her stories and talked her into getting clean without making it about himself. Who made an inventory list, packed his gear, and made a decision to leave in the morning. Not because things are good. Because the next step exists, and he knows what it is. The sun comes up whether we're ready for it or not. And he decided to be ready for it. So, ask yourself something, right now. What made you keep going? Not the details, not the blood and the loss and the specifics. I'm not asking for all of that. Just the one thing. The moment. The person. The reason. Whatever it was that made you decide to still be here. And when you have that, when you know what that is, write in and tell me. Because those stories belong on the air, sugar. They deserve to be heard, to be shared. They deserve to be broadcast, so every soul out there tuning into this signal tonight, every single person who thinks they might be the only one hurting, that thinks they can't keep moving forward, can hear your story. So they'll know they're not alone, that they can keep moving, keep living. So, write in, my little devils. Tell me what made you keep going. I'll read every one. Maybe your story will be the one that keeps someone else going, someone else moving. So hand your story over to the Courier Network and send it my way. You matter, sugar. Before he leaves in the morning, Nate's stopping by her grave. Not to say goodbye, just to let her know where he's going. That's the kind of man he is. And I have a feeling things are about to change for old Nate. Stay close to the signal. Stay alive. Stay strange. Dusty. Out.
Stay close, my vault dweller. Don't roam too far from me. With you I build our paradise beneath the desert sea. Oh my Calvin, you make my heart far away.
This is Garrett Klein, the one-man creative force behind the Dusty Signal podcast and the solo creator for Classic Me Studio. The Dusty Signal is a fan fiction audio drama that's set in the Fallout 4 universe. Fallout and all related properties are owned by Bethesda Game Studios, and no copyright infringement is intended. This is and always will be a free, non-commercial production. Created, written, and produced by Garrett Klein for Classic Me Studio. Voices were created using 11 Labs AI voice technology. Original song, Vault at Heart, was created using 11 Labs music generation software. Sound design from Audio Hero, 11 Labs, and My Imagination. Genuinely thank you for listening, and I hope you're enjoying it.